Hey guys, how are you? I just wanted to check in, wish you a happy 4th of July, and say that anarchy is every American's birthright. But anarchy is not a very mature political philosophy. Anarchy, angst, cantankerous, unruly disobedience should quickly graduate to individualism. It is the habit or principle of being self-reliant. It's a social theory that favors individual freedom over and against groupthink or collectivism or the state. And as the Apostle Paul said so many years ago, all things are permissible, but not all things are beneficial. And Jesus said, render to Caesar what is Caesar's and to God what is God's. But what is Caesar's? What is the role of government? Now, I don't know about you, but I have a deep distrust of governments in general because they're collectives. That doesn't mean that there can't be good individuals in and of the system, but they are still systems. They're machines and they're self-serving. But that doesn't mean I don't want them there. I tend to think about governments, both state and federal, as referees. I don't want them making the rules. I just want them to enforce them fairly. So who makes the rules? Well, we do. But here's where it becomes tricky because we tend to do that in democracies through elective representatives. All right, so I realize it's not a perfect analogy, but my point is I don't want the government playing the game or manipulating the rules. That's my point. So I just wanted to add that it gets a bit tricky in that we're not a pure democracy, which is to say we don't vote on ideas. We don't vote necessarily exactly how our money is spent. But we vote for a representative. Therein, it makes sense to me, but therein lies the problem in my mind because they, in turn, form a collective. And they can be manipulated by lobbyists, and they all have their own perceptions or intuitions and political leanings that they bring to the table. I don't know what to do with all that. I think we need something like that. I think something like that would form naturally, but it's a problem, right? Let me know what you think. Doobly-doo below. And while I don't have any religious sense about the amendments or the Declaration of Independence, the Founding Fathers did do us a big favor by setting some abstract guidelines for which we could then fight for our freedoms. That certainly doesn't mean the work is done. I don't know about you guys, but we seem to be losing freedoms that I never thought we would lose. You guys probably are aware that Roe versus Wade was overturned and that there were some gun rights that went to the Supreme Court. Doesn't matter how you feel about it, but these were rights that I never thought would be challenged, and they are being challenged now. So it's up to you guys, it's up to me, it's up to us as individuals how and what we do about that. But for too long, I think we have been comforted by bread and circus, and that has become the opium of the masses. Now, in some sense, this might not be such a bad thing because it's just the federal government saying that it doesn't have the kind of power we thought it had over individual states. And you might think that's a good thing, right? That big government is releasing some of its power. Maybe. The problem is we tend to only like the rulings when they're in our favor, but the tables can be turned very quickly. So what do I mean? Yeah, what do I mean? Let me read you a passage from the Declaration of Independence, and it's not the often quoted pursuit of happiness passage. It actually comes right after that. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men. So governments are part of the original plan. They are needed according to the framers, who weren't perfect people, but their ideas stand, I think. Deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That's us. That wherever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, the ends above, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute a new government that would better protect these freedoms. To alter or abolish it. This is why I said at the start of this that it's every American's birthright. Anarchy is every American's birthright. but I'm not an abolitionist. I don't think that the democratic republic that we live in is so far gone that we just want to burn it all down and start over. Not by a long shot. I love this country. I think it's a great place to live, but I think it is time for some reform. So I know what you're thinking because I'm thinking it. What can we do about it? Well, the first thing you can do that's very easy is to read or reread the Declaration of Independence. Second thing you can do, if you're so inclined, is to vote for local representatives that are in line with your thinking. I don't vote or rarely vote. That's a topic for another time. Suffice it to say that I really don't want you voting either if you're uninformed about the individuals you're voting for, and I am largely uninformed because I'm a bit cynical, I gotta admit. It just doesn't seem to matter who gets in. My life kind of remains the same. And I've seen this messianic expectation around presidents or presidential candidates at least twice in my life. Obama and Trump, they both had this messianic expectation that they were going to change the world. But I got to say, my life remained the same. All right, calm down. Let's not get derailed with political affiliations. That's not what I want to say. What I want to say is that I truly believe, much the way that Gandhi truly believed, much the way that Thomas Merton truly believed, much the way the Transcendentalists, Thoreau, Emerson, my heroes, that real change begins within. I know that sounds trite, but think about it. If more and more of us become individuals and rely less and less on these governments or these collective groups that we have allowed so much power over our lives, we just won't need them. I think that's truly a powerful way forward. Or we'll need them less. That's what I mean to say. I think we need regulation. I believe in light-handed regulation. I am also a capitalist. I couldn't say I wasn't. I have my own business. And that doesn't mean that capitalism, free market capitalism, isn't open to critique. It is, at least in my mind. But we do need regulation. We just don't want the heavy-handed power grabs that we're seeing, I don't know, right now. And last and certainly not least, on this government holiday or anti-government holiday, enjoy the hell out of your free time, the leisure, and your family. Well, guys, I hope it wasn't too heavy-handed, but I wanted to get that out there. I'm sure I could say it better if I sat on it for a while, but no time for that. Got to go back to work. So I'll see you when I see you. Until then, stay safe.